Welcome to the GROHE Workshop. Today, I will show you how to install our trim sets in 5 easy steps. There are 3 different types. In this case, it is the Grohtherm Thermostat Trimset. And the base is always this wonder box, which is installed first. First, exactly determine the later application and functional unit you want to use the SmartBox for, as this will be decisive for the further installation steps. The SmartBox is installed in or behind a wall, depending on the individual wall construction and the available insertion depth. The connection diagrams for the piping are on the front of the SmartBox. Here, the connection patterns differ depending on whether just one hand shower, a bathtub drain, or even, for example, a head shower is installed. Regardless of this, cold and warm water are always connected from below. Cold water on the right, warm water always on the left. In our case, we need this connection diagram. After the pipes have been correctly installed according to the specification and the wall has been plastered, the protective fleece is applied to prevent moisture penetration in accordance with DIN 18534. Afterwards, you can finish tiling the wall or refine it otherwise. Now it's time to install the Grohtherm Thermostat Trimset. First, let's take a look at the tools you will need. The box contains the functional units with all the connecting parts and the trim set. By the way, taking a look at the instructions, which are also included, certainly doesn't hurt. Now we'll start with the installation. First, cut the SmartBox flush with the wall using a suitable tool. Then seal the gap between the wall and the SmartBox with silicone to prevent moisture from penetrating the wall. Speaking of moisture, the water should be turned off at the beginning of the installation, no later than when removing the flush unit. To do so, unscrew the fastening screws in the next step. Then carefully pull the flush unit out using a pair of pliers. An additional pair of pliers can be used here to prevent the flush unit from tilting unintentionally. Now pour the plastic stoppers out of the warm and cold water input so that all pipe parts can be rinsed out as far as the intake point, in accordance with regulations. Now remount the flush unit, open the water supply and flush the piping outputs. All pipes have now been flushed as far as the intake point. Afterwards, turn the water off again. The flush unit can now be removed and disposed of properly. Now it's time to actually install the functional unit. Grease it all round and push it into the SmartBox. Then fix gently using 2 screws. The functional unit should still be able to move so that the tap can be aligned precisely horizontally or even parallel to a tile joint later on. Next, screw the 2 screws into the fixing plate as an adjustment aid. The screws should protrude out of the SmartBox as far as is necessary for a spirit level to be placed on top to align the unit precisely. The functional unit can later be aligned up to 6 degrees in both directions, which is a major advantage compared to other products. If the functional unit is aligned, tighten the fixing screws, alternating between them. Then also screw in the other 2 screws. Now turn on the water and check that the unit is tight. Perfect! Now activate a spout, for example, the hand shower. To do so, open the spout using the aqua dimmer and then measure the temperature with a thermometer and adjust it by rotating the temperature control to 38 degrees Celsius. This ensures that the 38 degrees Celsius water temperature matches the corresponding marking on the chrome escutcheon later on. It is important that you do not rotate this again after the temperature of the controls is set correctly until the handle is mounted. After adjustment, turn the water off again. The pipes were connected to the SmartBox at the start to match the desired connector pattern. For a head and hand shower combination, like in our case, the spindle now has to be set correspondingly to the correct water outputs. For this, the cams on the spindle must point downwards to open the B and C outputs. Then mount the fixing plate with 4 screws. In the process, make sure that these screws are only tightened by hand, as otherwise the fixing plate could become deformed, which could later result in difficulties when assembling the chrome escutcheon. Now put the stop ring of the aqua dimmer together and mount using the marking on the corrugation in accordance with the assembly instructions. The stop ring can now be mounted in one position. First, put on the blue adapter, then put on the chrome ring accordingly. Now push the temperature control button and turn it left so that it stays flat, and the escutcheon can be mounted onto the fixing plate flush with the wall. Then turn the temperature handle back to the 38 degrees Celsius position and push the plastic sleeve into the handle pointing upwards and let it lock into place. Then mount the cover cap onto the thermostat handle with the flat portion pointing downwards. Done. Now it's time to mount the aqua dimmer handle. To do so, grease, align, and put on the sliding ring. Then pull the circlip out as far as this can slide over the aqua dimmer spindle and push in until it locks into the groove. It should now no longer be possible to remove the aqua dimmer handle. Now position the plastic sleeve with the marking according to the chosen installation layout and put on the aqua dimmer spindle until this slightly locks into place. In this case, the B and C outputs are required as before. Then the chromium cap is put on the aqua dimmer. Done. After installing the shower, the water can be turned on and the function test carried out. Perfect. Now it's time for the handover. Job done. Not so hard after all, right? You will manage it easily too.